The latest Marvel Disney Plus show, Wonder Man, has dropped in full, and this is one of the most unusual Marvel Cinematic Universe projects yet. So let's talk about it. Hi, my name is Sean, and I love to talk about movies and TV way too much. With that in mind, go ahead and join me down below in the comment section. Share your thoughts on Wonder Man. Were you excited for it? Did it surprise you? Was it too different and strange for you that it just wasn't your thing at all? Let me know all of that fun stuff down below in the comments section. I'm not planning on talking about spoilers in my review, but if you want to talk spoilers since I am covering the whole season, just put a little spoiler warning down below. Real quick, there's a sale going on in my merch store this week. You can get $16 t-shirts, including some of these new designs like the I Know More About Movies Than You design. Another new design, we got the Movies Are My Personality t-shirt. We've got the classic I Talk Movies Too Much. I believe this is my all-time bestseller. We got lots of variety. You can get the I Talk TV Too Much design. You can change the color. You can change the fabric material. So if you're looking for a fashion upgrade in 2026, consider getting some of my merch at that link down below in the description. All that's down below, and let's get started with the review. Now, Wonder Man is an absolutely fascinating project in terms of how do you properly review and recommend a show like this? It is distinctly in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is Trevor, the character from Iron Man 3, as well as Shang-Chi. It has super-powered characters. It has damage control. It's in the MCU. But traditionally, the MCU, a vast majority of the projects have been essentially sci-fi action of sorts in the, of course, the comic book flavor. And that's what the entire franchise was built on. And there's stories of good triumphing over evil. And Wonder Man is the story of two actors trying to make their way in Hollywood with the setbacks, the controversies, the scandals. But it's all about the friendship they form in this unlikely bond as they try and get cast in Hollywood. There is a bit of a human antagonist in it, but it's not a villain to be defeated in any way. There's no real action set pieces. There's a couple fantastical things that happen in it, but it's by no means a spectacle production. You're not showing up in order to see action, in order to see big VFX extravaganza, anything like that. The reason that you watch Wonder Man is for the bromance between these two very unlikely friends, as each of them at very different places in their acting careers are pursuing the thing that they love the most and want the most. How exactly do you properly review and recommend that when it's so distinctly in the MCU and so distinctly different from everything else in the MCU? There are other projects that are all equally very different from the vast majority of the MCU, but not in the same way that this is. One of the advantages of a franchise, generally speaking, is if you like one movie in the franchise, that's a good predictor that you're likely to like something else in the franchise. But that is not the case with Wonder Man. If you liked Thunderbolts Fantastic Four, that is in no way a predictor that you will enjoy Wonder Man, because Wonder Man has more in common with La La Land and the studio than it does with Captain America Brave New World, Thunderbolts Fantastic Four. This is a very LA-centric, it's very much a chase your dreams story. It's a celebration of artists and creatives that are misunderstood by their family as they pursue that which they love in an unstable market. That is so different from almost everything else in the MCU. And if you like past MCU stuff, that doesn't mean that you will like this. And if you've been so burned by the MCU and you're just tired of the same old slop, maybe you will love Wonder Man. Or if you've hated everything in the MCU ever. You just don't like comic book superhero stories. You might love Wonder Man because you just love stories about artists pursuing that which they love. And it's a bromance. It is a character study about these two different guys trying to find their way and their identity while being in a profession that demands that they not be themselves and try and present themselves as who people want them to be. So there's so much of it that's well done and it's interesting, but it's such an odd thing for the MCU to do. There's something beautiful about insane, odd risks and experiments. And at the same time, I've been saying this repeatedly, this was my concern going into this. There's a little bit of when you have an MCU that just feels so fragmented, lacking focus, pulled in too many directions, is the best use of your time to do a niche project about being an actor in Hollywood with no ties to real superhero stuff, the meta-narrative, anything. It's just let's celebrate Hollywood in actors in the context of the MCU. Let's tell a story like that. That doesn't make it bad. It is a very unusual choice. The central structure of the show, it's basically a rom-com is what it is, but it's about the bromance between these two guys, but it follows the same exact structure as something like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, where there's some mechanism by which these two people connect, where there's a dishonest aspect going into it. These two opposites find themselves very fond of each other, but issues happen all along the way. It fits very neatly into a specific genre that is not what you normally get from the MCU, and it's a creative use of a very overplayed story structure from decades past as it is applied to friendship. Just two unlikely people that bond with one another. To that point, the whole thing works and is charming because they, as individuals, are so likable and easy to root for, but then you buy into their relationship. Though there's elements that it starts under certain context, you're immediately rooting for them to be able to work through all of their issues because they're just so endearing. And whether that's Trevor trying to make right after many years of wrongs in choices that led him to have so much trouble along the way, and he's just trying to be an actor, trying to move forward, or the guy that has all the talent, but maybe he's not the easiest to work with, and he gets lost in his own mind, and so he's never broken through. He thinks he's got the potential, he thinks he's got it, but he's never had his moment. And so these two people, wildly different people, wildly different backgrounds, find themselves merging together, and they're just very charming on screen together. There's something to that. And if you like those types of stories, kind of going back to the La La Lands and these stories about Hollywood, and if you're a creative, if you're someone that feels like you have a love for whether it's acting, making music, writing, YouTube, and the people around you don't fully get it, they don't understand it, there's a lot in here for you. If you just love to see superheroes, guys in capes, punching flying bad robots and flying purple aliens, that's not what this is. There's none of that whatsoever in this. There are superpowered people. There is some creativity in that regard, but this is very much what other stories can you tell in the MCU? If we're not limiting ourselves to good guy defeating bad guy, save the world, all right, if there are superhero beings, how would that play out? What would that look like in Hollywood? What would a scandal in that regard look like? And what prejudice could come from that? And it plays all of that out. So there's very interesting ideas of like building out the world of the MCU, but not in regards to any of the ways we traditionally have done that. This is fascinating. And like, it's where I have such a hard time to like process it because I'm just irritated that there's all of these rabbit trails in the MCU that don't go anywhere. But that doesn't mean this is bad. I mean, I didn't like it. Doesn't mean it wasn't charming. Doesn't mean there wasn't things in there as a creative that I connected with. But it is a very strange, unusual project that has stylistically and genre-wise nothing to do with anything else in the MCU. And probably there will never be anything like it again in the MCU. It's just kind of an anomaly. There's something beautiful about gigantic studios taking insane risks, like let's do a bromance about two actors trying to make it this world in the middle of your big sci-fi franchise while you're trying to build up to Avengers Doomsday. There's something crazy about that. That's kind of fun. So if you're someone that needs action, that's not what this is. You can watch the first 2 episodes and pretty quickly see if you're going to get into it. It's not a slow burn that builds to a big finale where a villain shows up. It's not that. There's no action. It is just about the bromance. It is just about this journey that they're on. It doesn't crescendo into anything. So if you're showing up waiting for that to happen, it doesn't happen. But if you want an interesting character study with 2 great leads, building out the world of the MCU, telling a very different story, in particular for creatives or people that are interested in that sort of thing, interested in the craft of movie making of actors, probably has a lot to offer, which is such a strange recommendation for an MCU project. That's why this is a little bit of an unusual review, because it's such an unusual project, and I want to make sure the right people are excited for it, and the right people say, hey, I'll sit this one out, and that's okay. The other final piece on this that just makes it a little tricky when even saying that is, for phases 1 through 3, the MCU, every entry in the MCU was essentially for all MCU fans. It was kind of assumed that if you're an MCU person, we're only putting out 2-3 movies per year, so you can get them all watched leading up to Infinity War Endgame. And as they're kind of putting out these projects, we're just kind of built into it. Yeah, I mean, some people, you're not going to watch Agatha all along. If you don't want the Singing Witch show, that's probably not for you. That's fine. But we're making something for them, and we're going to make this one for actors in LA and creatives. And, not everybody needs to watch it. I think there's something lost in the MCU being this cohesive thing that we've all watched all of it, and it kind of turns into this segmented thing where there's different niches inside of the MCU audience that adore wildly different things, and other people in the MCU audience don't even watch them at all because they don't want to watch the Singing Witch show. They don't want to watch the Hollywood show or whatever niche other program they've put out. I just find that, I don't know, as someone that so loved riding the wave of the community, that we were all involved in the water cooler conversation of phase 3. That's how I grew this YouTube channel. And I miss when everybody, all of us, were excited for each release. And now some people are so hyped for Wonder Man. A bunch of other people are like, why would I ever watch that? And that is what's kind of nice about Spider-Man and Avengers coming out this year. Those are movies that are going to unite the Marvel fandom again. I'm excited for that. I'm confused by the MCU. I'm confused by projects like this that are good. They're well made, but I don't know why they were made. Anyway, this kind of turned into a little bit of a rant, a little bit of me pondering the nature of the MCU a little bit more than usual. But with a project like this and where the MCU specifically is at, I don't know, I feel like you almost have to dissect the context under which something is released to even understand how it's perceived and how it might be taken by different people. Anyway, maybe I'm just in a weird mood. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Remember to check out some of that merch in the merch store while the sale's going on, and keep talking movies and TV too much. Bye-bye.